Lenny Samuel lived in a quiet area of Los Angeles. He was a kind and friendly man, but inside, he had a big dream. He wanted to speak English well. He wanted to speak English clearly, with confidence. But every time he tried, he felt nervous. His hands became cold. His heart beat fast. His voice became soft and shaky. He was afraid to make mistakes. Sometimes he didn't say anything at all because he felt embarrassed. One morning, Lenny was walking in the park. He saw a poster on a tree. It said, "Speak English in 5 days. Join the shadowing challenge." There was a QR code. Lenny took out his phone and scanned it. The link led him to a podcast called English Learners Podcast. He put on his headphones and pressed play. A kind voice said, "Welcome. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going." Those words touched Lenny's heart. He stopped walking. He stood still and listened. The voice was calm and encouraging. It was like a friend speaking directly to him. At that moment, Lenny made a decision. He would start. He would practice speaking English every day, just 10 minutes a day. He did not know what would happen, but he wanted to try. When Lenny got home, he found a quiet place. He listened to the podcast again. The speaker said one sentence at a time. Lenny repeated the sentence. He copied the way the speaker said each word. At first, he made many mistakes. He sometimes forgot the sentence, but he didn't stop. He tried again and again. He decided to write down what he said. He took a small notebook and wrote on the first page, "Day 1. I am learning to speak fluently, one word at a time." Then, on the next line, he wrote a sentence from his own heart. "Today, I am proud I started." The notebook became his speech diary. Every day, he wrote a new sentence from the podcast and a new sentence from himself. After 1 week, Lenny recorded his voice using his phone. He said the same sentence from day 1. Then, he listened to the recording. He was surprised. His voice sounded better. It was stronger. He could hear the change. He smiled. "I didn't know I could sound like this," he said softly. Lenny began to enjoy this daily habit. He looked forward to his 10 minutes of practice. It became part of his life. He made tea, sat near the window, and opened his notebook. He called this time my English moment. No pressure, no fear, just him, his voice, and his dream. Sometimes he still made mistakes, but now he did not feel bad. He understood something important. Mistakes are not bad. Mistakes are how we grow. Every time he made a mistake, he laughed and tried again. That made learning fun. He also noticed other changes. He started using simple English phrases at the store. He greeted his neighbors with "Good morning" and "How are you today?" He ordered food in English without fear. People smiled back at him. They understood him. That gave him even more confidence. Lenny knew this was just the beginning. He still had a lot to learn. But now he believed he could do it. One step at a time, one sentence at a time. His English did not need to be perfect. It just needed to be real. At the end of the second week, he looked back at his notebook. It was filled with words, thoughts, and hope. He whispered, "I'm not just learning English. I'm learning to believe in myself." And that was the real beginning of his journey. A quiet man with a dream, a notebook, and a voice that was finally ready to grow. Helen Garfield was a quiet person. She was kind and smart, but she did not like to speak English in front of others. In her English class, she listened carefully. She took notes. But when it was time to speak, she stayed silent. She felt afraid. She was afraid to make mistakes. She was afraid that people would laugh at her. Because of this, Helen did not speak much. Her English stayed inside her, like a bird in a cage. One day after class, Helen talked to her friend Lenny. He had changed. He looked more confident. He smiled more. Helen asked him, "What are you doing? You look different." Lenny said, "I practice English every day now. I listen to a podcast. I speak out loud. It's called shadowing, only 10 minutes a day, but it's helping me a lot." Helen was surprised. She had never heard of shadowing before. Lenny told her, "You don't need to be perfect. Just listen, repeat, and feel your voice. It's okay to make mistakes. I make them too, but I keep going." Helen thought about it all night. The next morning, Helen woke up early. Her house was quiet. She made a cup of tea and went to her room. She looked in the mirror. She took a deep breath. Then she opened the English Learners podcast. She pressed play. A calm voice said, "I speak slowly, clearly, and with confidence." Helen listened. Then she said the same sentence. Her voice was small at first, but she said it again and again, and each time it felt a little easier. She did this every morning, just 5 minutes in front of the mirror. She looked at her face. She watched her mouth move. She listened to her voice. It felt strange at first, but after a few days, she started to enjoy it. She felt like she was talking to her future self, a stronger, braver version of herself. Helen started to write short notes in English, simple things like, "I believe in my voice," or "I can learn slowly." She put these notes on her wall. Each note gave her a little more courage. She also used color cards. Each color had a feeling. Blue for calm, yellow for happy, red for strong. Every day she picked a color and tried to speak with that feeling. It was fun, and it helped her understand emotions in English, too. After 2 weeks, Helen felt ready to try something new. She joined a language cafe in her town. It was a small group of people learning English. They talked about easy topics like food, hobbies, or family. At first, Helen only listened. But one day, someone asked, "What's your favorite fruit?" Helen smiled and said, "I like apples." It was a short answer, but it was the first time she spoke English in public. After that moment, she felt proud. She told Lenny, "I spoke today." He said, "That's great. What did you say?" She laughed and told him. He clapped and said, "See, you are doing it." Helen and Lenny began to practice together. They met once a week. They created small conversations. They pretended to be in real-life places like a shop or a train station. Lenny was the customer. Helen was the cashier. They laughed, learned new words, and helped each other. Helen's voice grew stronger. She still made mistakes, but now she saw them as part of the journey. She was no longer afraid of speaking. One day, she looked in the mirror and said, "I used to be silent, but now I speak." Her journey was slow. It was quiet, but it was powerful. Shadowing helped her find her voice, not just in English, but in life. Now, every time she speaks, she remembers her first sentence in the mirror. "I speak slowly, clearly, and with confidence." And she smiles because it's true. Lenny and Helen had both come a long way. They started with fear. They were shy. They made many mistakes, but now they felt stronger. They spoke English more often. They smiled more. They believed in themselves. One afternoon, they sat in their favorite coffee shop. The sun was shining through the window. The smell of fresh coffee was in the air. Lenny looked at Helen and said, "What if we helped other people like us? People who are afraid to speak, people who want to practice but don't know how." Helen thought for a moment. Then she smiled. "Yes," she said. "We can create a small group, a safe place to practice. We can call it the practice room." They asked the owner of the coffee shop if they could use a quiet corner for 30 minutes each day. The owner liked the idea. "Of course," he said. "You can meet here every morning. I'll give you a table by the window." The next day, Lenny made a small sign. It said, "Practice English with us 10 minutes a day. Everyone is welcome." They put it on the table. They also brought a small speaker to play the podcast. They waited. At first, only one person came, then two, then five. Soon, a small group started to form. Each morning, the group listened to one sentence from the podcast. Then, they repeated the sentence together, slowly, clearly, and with confidence. After that, each person said one short sentence of their own. Some people were nervous. Some forgot the words. But no one laughed. No one judged. Everyone clapped after each try. It became a rule. Clap for courage. One man named Mr. Kim came every Monday. He was older, and he liked poetry. He brought simple poems in English and read them out loud. His voice was soft, but full of feeling. People listened closely. A young boy named Mateo came with his mother. He was only 12, but he was brave. He read fairy tales in English, one sentence at a time. Helen brought color cards just like she used at home. She explained, "Each color shows a feeling. Blue means calm. Yellow means happy. Red means strong. Pick a card. Then read your sentence with that feeling." People enjoyed this game. They laughed, smiled, and learned how to use emotions in their voice. Lenny added a challenge board. Every day he wrote a sentence on the board. It said things like, "I believe in my voice," or "Even if it's hard, I keep going." He asked everyone to say the sentence 3 times with feeling. These small challenges made the group stronger. They helped each other. They shared their stories. They became friends. One morning, something special happened. A woman came in and said, "I watched from outside for many days. I was too shy to join. But today I want to try to." She sat down. She listened. Then she said, "I want to speak English. I want to believe in myself." Everyone clapped. Helen said, "You are already brave." The practice room became more than just a group. It became a family. People came not only to speak English, but to feel supported. They didn't feel alone anymore. They saw that mistakes were okay. In fact, mistakes became something good. They were signs of learning, signs of progress. Helen stood up one day and shared her story. "I used to be silent," she said. "I was afraid of speaking. I thought my English was not good enough. But now, I speak with pride. I speak with joy." Lenny added, "We don't speak perfect English here. We speak brave English. Every word you say is a step forward. Every try is a success." The group cheered. Some people cried happy tears. Others hugged. Everyone smiled. At the end of the week, Lenny looked at the group and said, "Remember this. Your voice matters. Your words matter. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to keep going. Helen nodded. This is not just about English, she said. This is about life. This is about courage. And so, the practice room continued. Each day, people came. They listened. They spoke. They grew. And with each mistake, they found a little more magic inside themselves. Lenny and Helen began their journeys with quiet fear and hesitation. Lenny felt nervous every time he tried to speak English. His hands would tremble and his mind would freeze. Helen was too shy to speak in front of others. She feared mistakes and judgment. Yet both of them made one small decision: to try the shadowing method for just 10 minutes every day. Lenny found a simple podcast. He listened to one sentence, then repeated it slowly and carefully. He kept a small speech diary to write down each sentence and how he felt. In just 1 week, he could hear a real change in his voice. He gained confidence to use basic English phrases at the store and with his neighbors. Helen learned shadowing in front of a mirror. She watched her mouth move and felt each word in her heart. She used color cards to practice emotions. She smiled as her voice grew stronger. After 2 weeks, she joined a language cafe and spoke her first public sentence. I like apples. The joy and pride in her voice showed her that mistakes were simply steps toward growth. Together, they created the practice room in a small coffee shop. Each morning, learners of all ages met to shadow a sentence, repeat it 3 times, and share one sentence of their own. They clapped for courage and used simple challenges to build confidence. A retired poet read his poems. A young boy told fairy tales, and a new learner joined, even if she was shy. Everyone learned that mistakes were not failures, but miracles in the making. Their story shows that learning a new skill is not about perfection. It is about daily practice, small steps, and a caring community. Mistakes become opportunities when we choose kindness over judgment. Consistency builds real change, and sharing our efforts with others makes the process joyful and meaningful. Lesson and application. The deep lesson from Lenny and Helen's story is that courage grows one word at a time. You do not need to speak perfectly to begin. You need only to begin, practice daily, and support each other. In your own life, you can apply this lesson by setting aside 10 minutes each day for any new practice, whether it is a new language, a musical instrument, or a fitness routine. Record your progress, celebrate small wins, and share your efforts with friends or a supportive group. In time, tiny steps will lead to remarkable progress. Congratulations on listening through Lenny and Helen's full story. You have strengthened your English listening skills and understood how simple daily habits can change your life. What did Lenny and Helen name their group? A. The practice room. B. The learning circle. Type A or B in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and found it helpful, please subscribe to our channel. Your support gives us motivation to create more free, high-quality content. If you'd like to help us cover our costs and keep this project alive, you can also donate. In these early days, each contribution makes a big difference. Thank you for learning with us.